Hello, everyone. Hello to all of my fellow gold diggers out there. This is your girl Rita, also known as the Gold Digger, and I am your guide in your journey through entrepreneurship as well as business ownership. And today we are going to cover the topic of what I am calling Business 100, what I wish I knew about business before I actually started my own business. So this is what I wish I knew. And I labeled it Business 100 because usually when you go to college, there is like English 101, math 101, that kind of thing. But if you're not quite ready to go to that level, they have what's called 100, which I won't say it's a remedial class, but it's like the basic before you get into the basics. And so this is not any shade to you. It's more so my pure ignorance and my pure being naive about stuff and some of the things that I guess a lot of people may assume is basic or that people should know about business. And I know I really didn't know or quite have a full understanding or a full grasp of it until I was actually in business for myself. So that's why it's called Business 100. Okay, this is not 101. This is the level before the basic simplistic level, but it's stuff I really didn't know, but I wish I did know. And if you enjoy these videos, I probably will share other ones. So please let me know if you like this kind of video, because I will continue to share things about what I wish I knew, because there are a lot of things that I did not, if I was to be quite honest, that I really did not know or fully grasp or fully comprehend until I was in the thick of things and in business for myself. All right, so let's get to it. Let me jump into it, and I'm looking at my list so I can make sure I cover all of the highlights and everything for you. Quick disclaimer, this is my opinion about most stuff. If there is anything that is, statistically driven or whatever, I will cite the statistics on it, but a lot of it is my opinion or what I have learned going through my own experience. So I always say do your due diligence and do research for yourself, but I am ultimately sharing so that you don't make the same mistakes that I made. And I have made a lot of mistakes, and some of them, yeah, hopefully you can laugh at my pain, like the comedy special, you can laugh at my pain about this, but I do not want you to make the same mistakes that I made. Okay, so please, I'm your test dummy, so please use me as an example as mistakes that you can avoid. All right, so let's get into it. So the first thing I wish I knew before I started my business is that I am not a small business. And the reason why I say this is because, do you know what the definition of a small business is? A small business is considered any business that has fewer than 500 employees. So 499 and less is what is considered a small business. Y'all, I barely know 500 people. So, I mean, I am not a small business. At one point I thought I'm a micro business. But no, you know what? I realized I'm a nano business. I am like so small. Like, I don't feel like I fully fit into the category of a small business. Even though I do, I am not operating on the level of someone who has 400 employees, okay? I have less than 5 employees. So I consider myself a nano business. Like, some of these things apply for companies that have 100 employees, 50 employees, 200, 300, whatever, but I am not on that level. So even though I fall under the umbrella of being a small business, I honestly do not consider myself a small business. I consider myself a nano business. Nano meaning tiny, teeny, tiny, not even micro, nano. Like those little chips you get on the phone, you got the little regular SD card, then they went to the micro SD card, and then finally they went to the little nano, the little teeny beanie little card. That's me. I'm a nano business. under the umbrella of a small business, because these other people are on a whole nother level than I am. All right. The second thing that I wish I knew before starting my small business is that even though I am a small business, people expect for me to operate like a large business or a corporation, okay? People's expectations are just kind of ludicrous, and I think it's just because they really don't understand business. Because even I didn't understand it prior to me starting my own business. Like I said, I really didn't have a grasp of certain things that go on with business, so I'm assuming some of this stems from just pure ignorance. Like they really just don't know how a small business operates. And that could be, and when I say that they expect for you to operate like a large business, that comes in terms of like your customer expectations. Like they expect you to be able to turn around a product. Let's say if you have to ship out a product, and Amazon has 2 day shipping, they expect for you to have 2 day shipping as well. And you're not. I'm not on the level of Amazon. Like I'm an individual. I'm a person with a handful of people helping me, and you expect for me to operate like Amazon that has multiple locations with multiple employees. Like this too much. Like I cannot operate like they operate. So they also expect for you to have, I won't say infinite, but such a wide variety of products and services. And they will I won't say constantly, but they will often be like, well, I can go to so and so and they have this, why don't you have that? Like, ma'am, sir, I don't have the capacity to get all these multiple products, multiple inventory in, like Amazon, Costco, Walmart, Target. Like, you are expecting me to make negotiations and get stuff into my establishment for one little person like you who might come in and ask for it. You expect for me to have the same variety of product as a large scale business, and I am a small business. And like I said, I do not mean to get on a rant about this, but I really wish people would better understand that, like, you're not going to find the same stuff that you might find in Walmart or Target. I don't know why you expect for me to be able to operate on that same level, which leads me into the next thing. They expect your prices to be the same as Walmart and Target and all these other big businesses. Like, please understand, especially if you say you like to support small businesses, or as well as if you're on the flip side and you're looking into going into business, we don't have that same buying power. Like Walmart, Target, all those places, they have multiple locations, not just within a state, not just within a city, like across the country and across the world. Like, you can go overseas or somewhere and find a Walmart, okay? They have better negotiating power. Like, just because it's kind of like when you go to Sam's or Costco, you get people like to go shop at those places because they get large quantities for a lower price, versus, like, say you could get, I don't know, a bunch of paper plates or something, like a big old stack of paper plates for, I don't know, 10-15 bucks or something like that, versus if you go to Walmart and you just buy one stack of paper plates, you might be paying, with like 50 in there or something, you might be paying $5 or $6, where if you went to Sam's Club and you got 1,000, and now you can pay that and get it for like $15 or something like that. Like, when you are able to buy more, the price goes down, and then you can pass that on to the customer. But because I am only one location, One small business, and like I said, I'm not even a small business, I'm a nano business. One small business, I don't have that kind of buying power where I'm outfitting hundreds and thousands of stores to negotiate. Well, no, I need this at this price because I'm buying X amount of quantity. Like it just does not work that way. But people will expect for you to operate like a large business or a large corporation. So you really have to get unique and sophisticated with your services and with your products to meet their demand, as well as accommodate them and still be able to be successful and to thrive and to survive if you want your business to continue. Because like I said, they have unrealistic expectations of small businesses. They really do. um Also, last thing too, they have unrealistic expectations when it comes to like your policies and your procedures and things like that. Like you can't just, I don't know, like return policy. You can't just buy something and think you're going to return it, kind of like you do at Walmart, like, oh, I didn't like it or whatever. Like I don't have a whole shelf of these things or whatever like Walmart does, and can easily return it. And I don't have, once again, I don't have multiple stores um for that kind of thing. Or you know, you don't, it's just there are different policies that a small business is going to have in place compared to a corporation or a large business. And it's not that, speaking to the consumer, it's not that we're trying to get over on you or anything like that. It's just like we can't operate like that. If so, we're going to go out of business, okay? Point blank, period. But moving on from that, the third thing that I wish I knew before I started my business is that our economy, the United States economy, or the business realm, the United States business, is pretty much a big MLM. That's all it is. Now, stick with me because you probably think I'm crazy for saying this, but if you really sit down and look at it, all the U.S. economy is like a big MLM scheme, or big MLM business. Now, what is a MLM? MLM just stands for multi-level marketing company. And basically with those companies, you have a certain product. And this is not to throw any shade or be against any MLMs, because there are tons of MLMs out there and they do very well. But basically what a MLM is it's a company that offers usually a product or products, and you sell those products to the consumer. But part of it is you recruit people into the company, and so that those people can go out and sell the products. So there's usually two ways you make money in an MLM: either selling the products or recruiting people, or doing both, or whatever. But a lot of the people who make a lot of money, they do it from recruiting, because it's like you have a team. So if you recruit somebody who is under you and they are selling products, then you make money or commissions or however you want to call it off of them, of your team. And then if those people who are under you recruit somebody else, and those people start selling products, you also make money off of them. And then, so on and so on and so on. So basically, you can make a lot of money by recruiting people into the company to sell the products to consumers. And each time someone does that, the person at the top, and there are sometimes associated with like a pyramid scheme too, but MLMs are not a pyramid scheme. So the person at the top is continually making money off of the people underneath them. So if you really think about it, that's all the U.S. economy is. You have heard them say over and over again that small businesses are the engine of the U.S. economy. It's what kind of drives the economy. Also, especially with everything going on with this pandemic, you see how they have given funding for MLMs. no, excuse me, not MLMs, for small businesses. So they're giving them these funds so that they can stay in business and that they can stay afloat. Because basically, if they don't, ultimately the whole thing can crash down. And that's the same thing with the MLMs. Like, the people who make money off of recruiting, they're constantly recruiting. They constantly have to get people on their teams to sell the products, because you might lose somebody here, lose somebody there, but you always are trying to keep bringing people in, because that is what keeps you buoyed up and on top. And that is the same thing with small businesses. So if you look at the statistics, and I'm going to look at my notes directly so I don't misquote any facts. So you probably have heard that a lot of small businesses fail within the first few years. The actual statistics, and I got this from Investopedia, and it was an article from just this year, February 2020. It says that 20% of new businesses fail within the first 2 years. 45% fail within the next 5 years. So almost 50% fail within the first 5 years of being in business. 65% of new businesses fail within the first 10 years, and only 25% of new businesses actually make it to 15 years or more. So going back to that MLM, it's like, it's a constant stream. These businesses are starting and then they die out, and then there's always a young, bright group of entrepreneurs who are gung-ho about starting their businesses and facing all these challenges and everything like that. And this is not to discourage you, but just to let you know what you are up against, because you can do it. So it's constantly these new people starting these businesses. But 20% are going to fail within the first in the first 2 years, 45% within the first 5 years. So it's constantly recruiting and keeping the economy afloat, so that these big businesses, these big corporations like Walmart, Target and other things can stay afloat, because we pretty much are the engine for society, or for the business. Now, this is, and also just to speak to, with regards to what has been going on, you see that they have gotten funding, or some of the big, quote unquote, big businesses have gotten funding and they've returned it. And you're like, how can they qualify for a small business loan? So this is an aside. I wasn't even going to talk about this, but you see how even large corporations, they will get what's called a franchise or a franchisee. And basically you have the name of the main location. A good example is like Chick-fil-A, and there's plenty of places that do it. Chick-fil-A, I can't think of, but almost just about anything you can probably think of, especially when it comes to restaurants, fast food restaurants, is usually owned by like a franchisee who is operating the business and is using the big corporation name. Now, why do you think they want to do that? It helps them to remain small. And the same thing with MLMs. Why do you think they want? Because usually the people who work for MLMs, they're not an employee of the company. They are considered what's called an independent contractor, meaning that you file insurances, like your employment insurance, your taxes, and all that kind of stuff on your own, because you are not an employee of the company. Why do you think that is? There are breaks that you can get as a small business, that affords you if you stay small and under those 500 employees. Okay, so if you stay under 500 employees, there are certain benefits that you can receive, tax benefits, tax breaks, that kind of thing. So and you don't have to pay these employees, you don't have to pay these people. They are responsible for their salaries. So when you are in an MLM and you work as an independent contractor and you have the big company's name and stuff like that, it's more beneficial for them. So even some of these big name companies that are well known, and I know plenty of y'all are familiar with MLMs, they probably receive some of that small business funding because probably their corporate organization is definitely less than 500 people. Even though they might have, hundreds of thousands of people working for their company as independent contractors or independent sales representatives, that kind of thing. They have thousands across the country, but these people are not considered employees, because remember we talked about the definition of a small business is having less than 500 employees. So MLMs are popular because you get to bring people in and they're selling your products and they're selling your stuff and they're making your name big, and you don't even have to pay them as employees. Okay, you don't really, your business name is getting out there, your products are getting sold, the parent company is making all this money, and you don't have to worry about the fees associated with having employees, and you get some tax benefits associated with being a quote unquote small business. Okay, and the same thing kind of goes for franchisees. It's local or regional and that kind of thing. So whoever is the franchisee, they're the ones responsible for paying their employees. The main corporation doesn't really have to worry about doing that. And so the risk is passed on to someone else. But let's move along. The last thing I want to talk about that I wish I had known before I started my small business is that there is a tax for every doggone thing. I have never been taxed so much in my life. Now, there are tax breaks, there are tax benefits, but child, if you don't have a good accountant, you're gonna get, it's so many taxes. So anyway, especially if you have a brick and mortar business. But if you're online, you don't have to worry about some of the stuff associated with the brick and mortar, but it is like a tax for everything, especially if you are a legit small business, like you have registered or you're filing taxes as a small business, even if you're a sole proprietorship or whatever. But if you are legit and filing, business expenses, have a business checking account and that kind of thing, and you're like have a business license associated with your local county or whatever, or city, or however it may work in your area, then they gonna tax you for a lot of stuff. So let's jump into the types of taxes. So first tax is sales tax. All right, so you might think, yeah, that's a given, sales tax or whatever. That is what's going to happen. But in hindsight, it's like, yeah, I know that I would have to pay sales tax, but I didn't really know how it kind of worked. So if you're selling any products, not so much services, I guess it might depend on your state. But definitely if you sell products, just like you pay sales tax when you go to the grocery store, or if you buy clothes, shoes, whatever, depending on what area you live in, they charge a state sales tax. And same thing if you're operating a business. So yes, you collect that money, whatever it is, like say if it's 50 cents on the dollar, 80 cents on the dollar, whatever it is, you're collecting that money. But then however it's set up for your area, each month you are paying what you've collected. So you need to remember that, especially if, like, say you have generated, I don't know, $5,000 worth of income for the month. But if your state has an 8% sales tax, you need to realize that 8% of that money you've collected, you need to be paying, you're going to have to pay it to taxes. So don't think that all the money that you have collected in is going to you. Be prepared, set some money aside to pay the sales tax each month that you are supposed to pay to your state. All right, so that was the first tax. The next tax is the personal property tax. Y'all, when I first got this, I'm like, what in the world is this? Personal property tax. Basically what it is. So I have a brick and mortar business. I actually lease space. I took out a loan to outfit my location, to supply my equipment, all that kind of stuff. And basically, what the county does is says, hey, we see that you are operating a business and we know that you have equipment in there. Your equipment is pretty nice. And because of that, we are going to assess a personal property tax on all your personal property that is in the business. And you have to give them accounts for, whatever is in there, whatever equipment is in there, any upgrades you've made, if you have computers, phone, your furniture, all that kind of, all this stuff that you paid for and already done paid the sales tax on. They coming back and saying, hey, you got some nice stuff in here, and because it's so nice, we gonna tax you again. All right. I'm like, oh my goodness. And if you don't realize this, and depending, I guess it all just depends on your area. So you might be looking at paying $1,000 to $2,000 a year in personal property tax, unless you have a good accountant and you talk to them and try and see what you can do to work things out so you can get some tax breaks and some tax credits. So be mindful of that, your personal property tax. The next tax is unemployment tax. So this applies if you have employees working in your business. You're going to have unemployment insurance, and you're going to be paying an unemployment tax to your, I believe it's to the state, for your employees. So right now, with us going through this pandemic, the unemployment benefits are a little bit different. But prior to this, basically, if you hired an employee and things did not work out and you had to let the employee go, and so you had to fire them, and now they have filed for unemployment, possibly you usually will have, or you should have unemployment insurance. But each month, or however it is, because it goes out like whenever they get paid or whatever, you are paying an unemployment tax for them in the event that someone, and that's what your unemployment insurance is for too. So if someone files an unemployment claim, it is coming out of the money that you have provided through this tax. So basically, it's kind of like car insurance. So your unemployment insurance is similar to car insurance. So when you get car insurance, you have a premium that you pay each month, each 6 months, year, however you set it up, and that's what you pay. But if you have an accident or you get a lot of tickets or stuff like that, your car insurance can go up. Same thing with your unemployment insurance. If you get too many employees, filing a claim or whatever and collecting unemployment, your insurance can go up. So that is why it is important to choose ideal employees. And I have a video coming up about how to set targets and talking about your target employee. So be sure to check that out, because it will be coming probably in the next week or so. So it is very important for you to try to find good quality people. But in the event that it doesn't work out, don't let that be a deterrent, like, oh, my unemployment insurance is going to go up, or I'm going to have to pay a higher tax or whatever. If it doesn't work out, it's better to let the person go, because it's going to cost you more in the long run. The last thing that they tax you on is employment tax. So you have an unemployment tax, and you also have an employment tax. So basically, the employment tax is whenever you pay your employees, that state and the federal taxes that are taken out of their check, you are paying. And it's like, I paid it when I had employees, I was paying it, and I still pay it. I have to pay it or whatever. But I didn't understand, like, being an employee when I used to work, when I had a job and all that kind of stuff, like a W-2 job, which has been a long time since I've actually had a W-2 job, and they would take my taxes out. I never understood. I thought it was the government taking it out, and it is the government, but I didn't understand who's paying it. Your employer is paying it. And so now that I know this, you know how like when people get their refund check and they get all excited and stuff and they get their tax check from the IRS and they be like, oh, I got my money from the IRS. I really, well, not because my employees are good, but I really like, you really need to be thanking your employer. It's not the federal government, because your employer has been paying that tax every time it comes out of your paycheck. That money, the government doesn't have that money. It is coming from your employer. So when you get your refund check, you need to thank your employer for paying your employment tax. So say my employee makes, I don't know, $500 for the week, and 50 of that is taxes. So I've paid my employee $450. I still have to turn around and pay, $50 to the federal and state government for their taxes, as well as their unemployment all these taxes. Like, I did not realize how much you are taxed to death. Okay, when it comes to operating your small business, as well as, especially if you have employees working for you, which is also why some people try to get away from that by making people independent contractors or 1099s, so that they don't have to pay all these taxes. So I don't know, some companies who do that, I don't know, it's questionable to me. But yeah, but as an employee, if you have some as an employer and you have employees, be prepared for all these taxes. All right, so that's all I have. This has been a lengthy video. Quick recap: what I wish I knew about small business before I opened my own business is, one, I am not a small business. I feel like I'm a nano business. Number two, even though you're a small business, people will expect for you to operate like a large business or corporation. Number three, the U.S. economy is just a big MLM. And lastly, number four, they are going to tax the heck out of you as a small business owner. All right. That is all I have for now. Also, I have posted my email in the description box, so please feel free to email me if you have any questions. Also, I would like to know, was there anything about what I shared that surprised you, or were you not surprised at all? Did you already know this stuff and I'm just the one on the, in the remedial class and like not getting this or not fully understanding it? What was something that surprised you? Please put that in the comment section or email me. All right. That's all I have for now. Take care, my fellow gold diggers. This is your girl, Rita, also known as the Gold Digger. Until next time, guys.